In my opinion, one of the best reading experiences happens on the beach. Toes in the sand, waves crashing, and a really good book you just can't put down. So here are some book recommendations based on which beach you're visiting this summer, from Florida to California to Hawaii and more. This is going to be the first video in a series of book recommendations based on different locations, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos. Starting off with some book recommendations for Florida. I feel like Florida is like the quintessential beach vacation location, and so I had to start with it. And first we have The Love Haters by Catherine Center. This is a no-spice adult romance. It follows Hutch, who is a Coast Guard swimmer, and our female main character, Katie, who is making kind of like a documentary style video about him for her company. And they go to Key West together. So this book is set in Key West. It's so summery and fun. I actually have a whole reading blog up that I will link if you're interested. Next, we have What Not to Do on Vacation by Rachel McGee. This book follows three sisters who kind of reconnect and decide to go on this trip to the childhood beach that they grew up going. And I think they're all kind of in different seasons, dealing with different things. There's some romance thrown in, but I think it's also more of a women's fiction literary story. This one does not have any spice, and it's set in a fictional town called Sunnyside, Florida. So I feel like this would be great for any Florida vacation. Then we also have The Sands of Sea Blue Beach by Rachel Hawk. This is also a recent release, and this one is set in fictional Sea Blue Beach. This one does not have any spice. It is a second chance romance that follows an architect and a newspaper editor who are kind of coming back to this small town and reconnect. I love a second chance and at a beach setting in Florida, and I feel like this would be such a fun read. Lastly, for Florida, we have the Falling for Summer series on Kindle Unlimited. This is 7 different no-spice romances written by 7 different authors, and these books specifically are set on the fictional island town of Sunset Harbor, so they're all interconnected, and this series just seems so fun, so summery, and perfect for a Florida trip. Moving up the coast, we have a couple of books set in Georgia if you're going on a Georgia beach vacation. First, I have Great Big Beautiful Life, of course, by Miss Emily Henry. I read this, it just came out this year. This one follows Alice and Hayden, who are writers who basically go to this small island off the coast of Georgia to get the chance to write this big memoir, essentially, for Margaret, who is an older woman who used to kind of be in the spotlight. There's been some scandal and some controversy and some speculation around just different events in her life, why she kind of receded from the public eye and things. I would say this is like fiction with romance, with a touch of mystery, just trying to figure out some of the pieces and how they go together in Margaret's life. And I had a really fun time with this one. I actually read this one when we were in Boston. If you missed my Boston vlog, I talked about it a little bit in that, but it was really fun to just read it on the East Coast. I feel like it has a good coastal setting, and this one does have spice, just to note that. And then lastly for Georgia, we have the Oakley Island series by Emma St. Clair and Jenny Proctor. This series is set on a fictional island off the coast of Georgia, and this series follows 3 sisters, so each book is for a sister. I decided to pick this series up because it's kind of related, interconnected to the last book in the Appy series. So if you've read that, this is by the same authors. Yeah, I'm excited to read like a summary series that's interconnected by them at the beach versus like the hockey mountain town kind of vibe. I feel like this is like the opposite, but still same authors, same writing, and I feel like this one will be so fun. The Oakley Island series is also no spice, and it is on Kindle Unlimited. And moving up the coast just a little bit more, we have some books set in North Carolina. First, I have 2 books by Denise Hunter, but honestly, I think most, if not all, of her beach books are set in North Carolina, so you can definitely go look into more if you're interested. First, I have Love Unscripted, which is set in fictional Stillwater, North Carolina on the coast. This one follows a writer who is kind of helping and around watching her book be made into a movie, and then her romance with the guy who is starring in her book to film adaptation, which was so fun. This one was really sweet. I read it last summer, I think in a reading vlog, so I will link it up above if I can find it. And then Bookshop by the Sea is set in fictional Piper's Cove, North Carolina, and this one follows our female main character who is opening her own bookshop by the beach. That's like been her dream for forever. And then our male main character is her old high school sweetheart, and there's some rekindling there. I think there's also a hurricane, if I remember, that causes some forced proximity, and I just really enjoyed both of these by Denise Hunter. I feel like they would be perfect for a North Carolina beach vacation. And all of Denise Hunter's books are no spice. Next, we have a couple of books by Jenny Hale, and these books specifically are set in the Outer Banks, which is one of my favorite places on earth. I love it out there. So we have The Summer at Firefly Beach and then also The Magic of Sea Glass. I haven't read The Summer at Firefly Beach yet. That's actually on my summer TBR, which I just posted a week or two ago if you want to go watch that next. But The Magic of Sea Glass I read last summer, I believe, and it is a women's fiction mixed with romance, a little bit of mystery, like some history, past, present timelines where you're trying to figure out how they connect, that kind of storyline, which I really liked. And yeah, I had so much fun. I feel like it was the coziest coastal setting and would be so perfect for the beach in North Carolina any time of year. Like, I feel like it would work for the summer, but I also feel like it's just got that cozy vibe that I feel like could work in any season. And these books are also no spice. And then lastly for North Carolina, we have The View from Coral Cove by Amy Clipston. This is set in fictional Coral Cove, North Carolina. This book does not have any spice, and it follows a romance novelist and a veterinarian, and I think the vet is also a single dad. And anytime there's a writer being written by a writer in a book, I feel like that's always so interesting and fun, and I love to get different authors' perspectives on being a writer through the characters that they write, if that makes sense. So I feel like this one would be not only really perfect for the beach, but also really interesting from a reader and aspiring author perspective. And continuing up the coast to the Northeast, I kind of lumped all of these beaches in the Northeast together. So we're talking about Maine, Martha's Vineyard, Cape Cod, but also Long Island and even down into Virginia. This is kind of a variety of just different beaches in the northeastern United States. So first, of course, I have to mention The Summer I Turned Pretty series by Jenny Han. I debated putting this in the North Carolina category, but technically it's set at fictional Cousins Beach, which is supposed to be like Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, near Boston area. But they, of course, do all of the filming outside of Wilmington. So I feel like it could go either way, anywhere on the East Coast, North Carolina, the Boston beaches, but technically it's set in the Northeast. But if you don't know, this is a 3-book series that follows Belly and her 2 best friends they go to the beach with every year, Conrad and Jeremiah, and then also Belly's brother Steven. It's like their friendship and then their moms, and they go to this beach house every summer. And it's kind of like a fiction, romance, drama. There's lots going on. There is a love triangle, but honestly, you just get invested. So I have just actually finished reading the series and I really enjoyed it. And so I feel like it would be perfect for North Carolina or the Northeast, really any beach you're going to this summer. All 3 of these books are also no spice and they are on Kindle Unlimited right now. Next for the Northeast, we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. This one is set in fictional Knott's Harbor, Maine, and it follows a group of 6 friends, but more specifically within that friend group, Harriet and Wynn, who are faking still being together for the sake of this trip with their friends that they make every year. Yeah, I feel like it's just got really fun summery vibes and activities and things like that, but also a lot of depth and would be perfect for a trip to Maine, which sounds like such a dream. This one does have spice, so I will try to put the page numbers up here for any books that I've read that have spice in case you want to skip. Next, we have 3 books by Annabelle Monaghan. So we have Same Time Next Summer, It's a Love Story, and Summer Romance. I read Same Time Next Summer last summer, I believe, and really enjoyed that one. And then I read It's a Love Story about a month ago. I have a reading vlog I will link if you're interested. And Summer Romance I haven't read yet. It's actually right there because I'm planning on picking it up very soon. But all 3 of these books are set on Long Island, New York. Yeah, Annabelle Monaghan is an amazing writer. Her books are beautiful and always have like lessons and depth, but are also simple and relatable. And if you haven't read one of her books, I would highly recommend picking one up this summer. They are also all no spice. We also have The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This is a young adult romance set on Martha's Vineyard for a wedding. And I actually haven't read this one, but whenever I see it, I always am like, oh, I should pick that up. It looks so summery and perfect, and it is YA, so it has no spice. And we are ending off the East Coast with If All Else Sails by Emma St. Clair. This book is actually set mostly on a boat because the two main characters in this book sail down the intercoastal waterway together. So they start in the very northern part of Virginia and they sail all the way to Savannah, Georgia and back. And they also stop in Carolina Beach. So I feel like North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, really anywhere on the East Coast would be perfect for reading this book. This actually comes out at the very beginning of August. I got an arc that I just finished recently and absolutely loved. And yeah, I feel like this was just the perfect summer book with forced proximity. It's a brother's best friend. And he also, Wyatt, the main character in this book, is from the Appy series. This is kind of like a spinoff, so you get to see a few of those characters. Yeah, and I just really enjoyed this book. I thought it was so fun and it would be perfect to pick up, especially anywhere on the East Coast, especially if you're going to be on a boat. I just feel like it was so summery and so fun. So now we are moving over from the East Coast to the West Coast, starting with the Pacific Northwest. And the first books I have for the Pacific Northwest are Girl Meets Grump and Home Run Heart by Haley Gardner. These books are set in fictional Kitts Harbor, which is like a coastal town in the Pacific Northwest. I feel like when I was reading these books, it was always giving like lush greenery, but also like beautiful, misty, kind of like cloudy gray beaches. I feel like I've never actually been to the Pacific Northwest, but that's always what I picture is like really green and always kind of like foggy and misty on the beach. I don't know if that's what it's actually like. Let me know. These are both No Spice and on Kindle Unlimited, and Girl Meets Grump is a grumpy sunshine that is set at this like cabin resort kind of place, like where they would have fires and everybody stays in their own cabin, and it's really, really sweet. And then Home Run Heart is a second chance romance. There is a baseball player. It's the off season, so it's not like super sports romancy. Yeah, I really love that one. There's a specific scene in that one that is set like on the beach that I always remember, and it's just really special in that book, I feel like. And yeah, I feel like these would be perfect to read, especially in the Pacific Northwest. And then also for the Pacific Northwest, we have West of Port by Karina Taylor. I believe this is in her Love and Treasures series, but you could totally read it by itself as well. This one is No Spice. It's set in Newport, Oregon, and it's technically a rom-com adventure, which I don't know if I've ever read like that subgenre of like a rom-com adventure with like some action and stuff, but I feel like it would be really entertaining to have the romance alongside like some more high stakes, almost like reading romance in fantasy, just where the stakes are upped a little bit and there's a little bit more action going on. I actually feel like I would really enjoy that. So I would love to pick this one up, even though sadly I won't get to be reading it in Oregon this summer. But if you could read it in Oregon, I feel like that would be ideal. And now moving down the West Coast, I have some books for you that are set in California. So first up, we have The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. This is a no spice romance that's set in Los Angeles, and it follows two screenwriters who are working together to write a rom-com script, except he doesn't really believe in love. So you're kind of following their journey working on this project and also their personal issues and all of those things that they're trying to work through as they're trying to write this love script. And I really love this one, and I feel like with the screenwriter, film, acting kind of aspect, actually reading this in LA would be so perfect. Then also set in LA, we have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This book was so good. Like, I could say so many things, but I'm not going to give you like a whole review right now, but this one follows Xavier, who is a vet, and then Sam, who is doing all kinds of different things. She's got a lot going on at the moment, and they basically go on this one really great date, and then life circumstances kind of happen that pull them apart, and you're just watching them fight through that throughout the entire book. This book is deeply emotional, but also such a beautiful love story, and I would highly recommend this book. I would also recommend looking at trigger warnings before you read it, just in case there's something that maybe you are not wanting to read right now, which I completely understand, but I really love this one. It does have a scene or two of spice, so I will put that up here if you want to skip it. Then next we have How to Love Your Neighbor by Sophie Sullivan. This is set in fictional Harlow Beach, California. And this one is no spice, and it follows our two main characters who are neighbors. They both have these really cute like beach cottage bungalow type things. And I describe this book as like HGTV meets a romance on the beach because they do a lot of like remodeling, kind of decorating situations, and it's just so fun. Like, I think about this book way more than I thought I would when I picked it up. And it has a really great found family, even just in the one book. And yeah, I would highly recommend this, especially if you're into like interior design, HGTV shows, that kind of thing. But at the beach, it's just a really fun read. Last for California, we have the Love Tripping series by Savannah Scott. This is 5 different books that are all set on the fictional island of Marbella, California, I believe is what she named it, which is inspired by, I'm totally going to say this wrong, Cayucos, California, which is in between San Francisco and LA. All of these books are no spice, and I think they're all on Kindle Unlimited, and this seems like just a really fun one to pick up and binge, especially if you are going on a beach trip to California. And ending off this video with a couple of recommendations if you're traveling to Hawaii for your beach vacation. So first we have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This one is set on the island of Maui, and it follows our two main characters when they end up going on a honeymoon together after the entire wedding party has gotten food poisoning, including the bride and groom. And so they're going on this honeymoon, but they're not newlyweds. And then while they're there, she runs into her new boss and tells a little white lie that kind of ends up in them having to act like newlyweds the whole time on this honeymoon in Hawaii. And this is definitely a rom-com. I feel like this book is so funny and also has just great beach settings and activities. I mean, it's Hawaii. So this one does have a little bit of spice, if I remember correctly, very minimal, but if I do have page numbers, I will throw them up here. And lastly, we have When I Fall in Love by Susan May Warren. I don't know a ton about this book. This is not one I've read, but I do know that the two main characters meet when they go to this cooking retreat together in Hawaii, which sounds really fun. I feel like it adds an interesting like dimension to it's a beach and it's set in Hawaii, but also like a cooking retreat. I feel like you would just learn a lot, and that would be really fun and interesting, similar to like the HGTV thing, just to read about and see like what they do and what they cook and stuff. I feel like that would just be really interesting, and this one also has no spice. If there is a specific beach you are traveling to that you want a recommendation for, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I would love to find the perfect book for you. And if you're looking for more books that would be perfect for the beach, go ahead and watch this video next. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, friends.